Hey, what's up? This is Bryan Bell with Conscious Fitness. In this video, I'm showing you the top 10 strategies and tips you can use to lose weight and keep it off. So these are all things that I've pulled from my weight loss cheat sheet, which originally comes from me working with clients one-on-one. So these are tried and true methods and strategies, the things that I've used to transform my own body as well as countless other clients. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Number one is going to be track your calories and macronutrients. So this is super important so that we can actually understand what it is that we're consuming. So the biggest factor of weight loss and weight gain or weight maintenance has to do with calories in versus calories out. So we need to understand how many calories we're bringing into our body so we are able to understand that variable and then change it to whatever we want, whether it's gain weight, lose weight. That's going to come down to how many calories we're getting. So you can use a free app like MyFitnessPal, Chronometer. There's a few other ones that are really good that people like. But the main thing is you want to be able to track your food and you want to do it as accurately as possible. The best way to do this is to use a food scale. So you can just get a small kitchen scale for like 10, 15 bucks. And you're going to use that to just track and record your food, day in and day out. Maybe do this for 5 to 7 days, so about a week. And then from there, you're going to see, all right, this is how many calories I've gotten on average. This is where I'm at with protein, and you're able to really get a good look at what you're eating. You might realize, wow, I've had way too many Kit Kats, or I've had, just this extra junk that I don't need. And just tracking alone provides this personal accountability. So that's the first step of kind of understanding how to lose weight is you have to understand what you've been doing to accumulate the weight that you currently have that you want to get rid of. So number two, we want to adjust your calories. So if you're going to keep eating like the way you've been eating, nothing's going to change, right? So we're going to have to bring the calories to a new point. That's going to allow your body to kind of adjust. So if we're bringing the calories lower than what you've been eating, we're going to end up losing weight. Now, the only caveat to this is if you're eating, 1,000 calories or 1,200 calories or less, at that point, your metabolism probably slowed down and you need to come back up and raise your calories up. So let me just give you a quick little calculation to use to figure out where you want to be, because there's so many calculations on the internet, how to, figure out how much energy you're expending and all this. Let's just keep it simple. You're going to take your goal body weight and you're going to times it by 12. So to give you an idea, say that you want to be 150 pounds. Say you're 180 right now and you want to be to 150. You're going to take 150 and you're going to times it by 12. And that's going to bring you to 1,800. So now you're going to start working on eating 1,800 calories. Now you can also compare this to how many you've been eating. Like if you realize, wow, I've averaged, 2,200, 2,400 a day, 1,800, that's a clear deficit, right? So if you're eating 400 to 600 calories less, chances are after a week or two, you're going to lose weight. Now, again, if you are really under eating, you might find, oh, I'm eating 1,000 calories a day and I weigh 180 pounds. When you do this calculation, you're like, whoa, 1,800, that's probably going to give you a better idea of more of a maintenance type of calories that you want to be on, right? So the thing is here, we're going to start with a number. And the reality is you have to track some of these other measurements and things that we'll get into in a minute, but you have to actually see what's going on from week to week or, at least bi-weekly, because that's how you're going to make adjustments. And eventually you'll be able to find that sweet spot of where you need to be. But to get started, let's take your goal body weight and times it by 12. That's going to be your starting calorie point. Okay, number three, let's talk about exercise. So there's so many different types of exercise modalities we can do. The main thing you want to focus on, whether it's losing weight or building muscle, is actually going to be resistance training. So resistance training, strength training, whether that's going to a gym and using machines, whether that's using resistance bands, whether that's using body weight training, whether that's with barbells or dumbbells. The main thing is you want to use resistance training exercises to build muscle in your body. Building more muscle, of course it's going to burn some calories, but the idea is we want to try to build up the lean tissue in your body, right? That's going to help speed up your metabolism. And the more muscle you have, naturally, the more leaner you're going to be. The muscle is also going to help define your body. So instead of just losing 30 pounds, and just being a smaller version of yourself, if we actually build up some muscle, that's where you get the real definition. That's where you get the shape to your body. The other reason why we want to resistance train is If you lose 30 pounds, for example, and you're not resistance training, I can guarantee you some of that 30 pounds is going to be lean muscle tissue. So if you're not resistance training, as we get older and older, you're going to lose that muscle mass. And so especially when you get into your later years, that's very important for your overall health. If you have a fall, if you have to pick yourself up, lift yourself up, all of these different situations. So once you lose muscle mass, it's hard to get it back, especially if you're not training. So when we're in a deep calorie deficit and you're trying to burn fat and lose weight, you can't only look at the scale, right? Because if you're losing that 30 pounds and 20 pounds of that is muscle, it's not going to be good. You're not going to look good. You're not going to feel good. It's going to be pretty much a waste of what you're trying to do. So what we need to do is actually resistance train and make sure that we're creating a stimulus in order to grow the muscles and at the very least hold on to them when we're bringing calories a little bit lower. So number 4 is we're going to increase our protein. So we're going to focus on eating 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of goal body weight. So in the example that we're using of wanting to hit 150 pounds, in that example, you're going to hit anywhere from 105 grams to 150 grams of protein per day. So when it comes to doing this in the healthiest way, I definitely advocate for more plant-based proteins. So with that, you can get tempeh, tofu, edamame, lentils, beans, peas, textured vegetable protein, hemp seeds, quinoa, pumpkin seeds, protein powders. There's so many ways you can do that. And when you bring in the plant foods and the plant proteins, you're actually getting in a lot of fiber, which is super needed as well. And as we get into some of these other numbers, you're going to see fiber is super important. Most people are not hitting their fiber requirements. And the easiest way to do that is to take those higher protein plant foods that I just mentioned, bring those into your diet, and now you're bringing fiber along with it. So again, the protein requirement, 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of your goal body weight. So number 5, how do we actually incorporate our protein into our diet? The way we want to do that is with our meals. So we want to focus on creating 2 to 3 high protein meals that we can meal prep in advance. So that means we need to actually create like a recipe for them. So if I'm going to be doing black beans and rice, right? For example, I'm going to record how much rice, how much black beans. I'm going to record it in grams because that's going to be the best way to track with the food scale and with putting it into an app like MyFitnessPal. And then I have my recipe and I can double it, I can quadruple it, and I prep it, make it all together. And then I'm going to separate it within containers. And then now I have food ready to go. So if I'm super stressed and it's been a crazy week and I get home and I jump into the fridge and my mind's scrambled, I just want to eat. Guess what? I have a healthy, high protein meal ready to go. I'm not going to be thinking about going out to eat, getting something that I really shouldn't get, or using DoorDash or something like that. I've got it ready. So that is one of the biggest keys by far in order to just keep that nutrition as a consistent part of your diet, is having it prepped and ready to go. So number 6, we're going to track our progress weekly. So in addition to tracking our food and tracking our calories, we want to track our actual progress to see what's changing in our body. So we're going to do this a few ways. We want to take photos, although I'd say photos you can maybe do once a month, right? So front on, from the side, and from the back. All my clients in my one-on-one program, we're going to do those just a month because honestly, it does take your body time to change. But weekly, we're going to do scale weight weekly. You could do this once a day if it doesn't bother you too much. Otherwise, once a week is fine. You could also do Mondays and Fridays to see if there's any change over the weekend. But just know that you're going to have some fluctuations because of water and food and things like that. So don't worry about the weight if it goes up or if it goes down super fast. There will be a rhythm and it will oscillate up and down. So aside from that, the reason why we want to do measurements is that we're actually going to help track and see things beyond just the weight, right? Just what the scale says, that number. So we want to track like chest, waist, hips. You can do legs and thighs. You can do arms. So honestly, the more data you can get, the better. So we just want to track those things every single week so that we can see what's changing in the body. So if we go 2 weeks and there hasn't been any change on the scale, no change in the measurements, that's when we make an informed decision. Hey, we might need to do something with the calories. First, we're going to take a look to see, all right, has everything been tracked in the right way? Has it been super accurate? Okay, if it has, maybe we need to lower the calories a little bit. So that's how we make those informed decisions, by using the data that we're tracking with. So number 7, we want to decrease all the processed filler foods, and we want to replace those with more fruits, veggies, and legumes. So when we have these, these highly palatable foods, think about like cookies and desserts and candy and like bread and just simple, really simple carbohydrates. The problem with those is because they're so refined and processed, they don't have a lot of nutrition to them. They do have calories, so they'll give you energy to move out your day, but they don't have those micronutrients. So those vitamins and minerals, which are super important for helping our body function at an optimal level. So it's not to say you can't have some of these fun foods. You can have a little bit of chocolate, you can have a little bit of these fun things, but the reality is the more you decrease them, the more it's going to help stabilize your hunger. It's going to help stabilize your hormones. And, the reality is if you have a piece of cake, you're going to want more. It's just a response. Your blood sugar goes crazy and it just says, yo, give me more of these crazy fast carbohydrates, because your body is designed to want to survive for the long term. So it wants those calories. So when you eat an apple, for example, it's a very balanced kind of level. You're eating an apple, you're eating some vegetables. That's really the big key that you want to focus on. So replace a lot of these like processed foods, even if it's, like a frozen dinner, and usually has a lot of extra sodium and preservatives in it. You want to replace all these processed things with more natural whole foods, and you'll find that your calories are going to go down, which means you can eat more volumes of food, but your nutrition will go up. It means your body's going to work better, and it's going to be able to actually digest and process and oxidize and let go of fat more easily. So number 8, we want to increase our fiber, and we're going to boost it up to 30 grams a day. So I've seen this a lot with a lot of my clients I work with that aren't vegan or plant-based. They're often going to have really low levels of fiber. And that's because, we're often pushed a very high protein, very simple carbohydrate diet that's usually based around, meat and some very highly processed carbohydrates. So what we want to do instead is bring in more of those actual fruits, those veggies, those legumes that are going to have more of that fiber. Now, fiber is so great. It helps regulate our blood sugar, which means our hormonal level will be a little more balanced. We're not going to be crazy hungry all day. It's also going to help digestion and add bulk, so it's going to make everything a lot easier to process as we're eating. So you might find as you increase your fiber, it actually will help with your energy as well. It just brings more balance to your overall system. So this is a huge one. And again, the easiest way to do this is to bring in some of those higher protein plant foods, edamame, tofu, tempeh, quinoa, lentils, beans, peas, all of those types of foods have a lot of fiber along with them. So that way you're able to get your protein and your fiber in just one shot. So number 9 is we're going to focus on movement a little bit more. And instead of just saying, hey, you need to go do some high intensity interval training and burn a bunch of calories, no. All we're going to do is we're going to focus on increasing our step count. So what I want you to do is go on your phone. You can check in like either Google Fit or the Apple Health app, or if you have like a Fitbit, something that tracks your steps, take a look at your average daily step count. And then what we want to do from here is increase it. So you can go anywhere from 1,000 extra a day or 3,000 plus a day. So to give you an idea, if you're only walking like 2,000 steps a day, maybe 3,000 is a great goal for you if you can hit that. But if you're able to hit 5,000 a day, well, guess what? That's going to burn more calories. So it's going to help you stay in that calorie deficit, and it's going to allow you to eat more food because we're working on this energy balance equation on both sides. So we're limiting the calories, but we're also increasing the movement. So walking is just one of the easiest ways to actually burn extra calories through movement. It's super sustainable. You can do it every single day. You can go on a walk for an hour and you'd be okay, and then go back the next day and do it. But some other things, cycling is great, like riding a bicycle, anything that's steady state. If you have an elliptical machine downstairs, go ahead and use it. But the more you can get out in nature, whether it's a walk outside of your house and just get some fresh air, all that stuff is also really good for your mental state as well. So it's not just about burning extra calories. There are so many benefits of just getting out, going on a walk, and actually freeing your mind. So the other benefit, of course, is that it does directly relate to burning more calories, which helps you stay in that energy deficit. All right, so number 10, what happens if you're not losing any weight? What do you do? Well, this step is on here because it helps create a system to everything that we're doing, right? So we're doing all this stuff. We're calculating our calories, we're eating higher protein, we're getting more fiber, we're walking more, we're resistance training. But what happens if nothing changes in a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks? What I'd like you to do is track it every 2 weeks, right? So if you don't see any change at all in what you're doing in 2 weeks, nothing on the scale, nothing on the measurements, nothing with how you feel, that's where we need to probably adjust the calories. So if you started with this initial example we were using and wanted to hit that 150 pounds and you were eating 1,800 calories for the last 2 weeks, if you haven't lost any weight, what we want to do in the future, in the next 2 weeks, let's go ahead and drop them to like 1,700. Let's see what happens in your body, right? So this is going to be a little bit different for everybody, but the truth is, you have to do some experimenting. And once you find that perfect range, it'll be awesome for you. It's like, let me give you an example for myself. 2,200 calories is what I used to think I needed to eat to be into a deficit. And maybe it was a couple months, but I didn't lose any weight at all in 2 months. And I'm supposedly, I'm tracking all my stuff. I'm trying to be in this calorie deficit and nothing's happening. So at that point, I realized I'm not going low enough. And I realized I just wasn't going low enough. So I dropped the calories to 2,000 and boom, instantly getting results week to week, consistently losing weight, seeing more definition every single week in the mirror because that's that sweet spot. So now that I know that, any other time, if I want to go add some extra calories or I go on a vacation and I need to go back into a quick little cut, I know I could just eat 2,000 calories and I'll be in my own fat burning zone. So this is going to be different for everybody because we're all different. We have different metabolisms, different amounts of energy that we expend through movement. But once you find that perfect range, and it could be 1,500 calories, for someone it might be 2,000, when you find what works for you, you know what level that is. And let me just add this in here as a little bit of extra. Once you hit this point where you're maintaining your weight and you hit that goal, and say you did get down to 150 and you want to stay there, what you're going to do, instead of just eating random stuff again, you're still going to try to track your food, but you're just going to slowly bring the calories back up. So instead of eating that 1,800 calories, maybe you eat 2,000 calories and see how you go. And that way you're able to come back up to your maintenance level. And as long as you eat at your caloric maintenance, you're not going to gain extra weight because it's a perfect balance of energy. So I did say this was going to be top 10 tips, but I have a bonus tip. And strategy number 11 is going to be stay consistent. So why do I say this? The hardest part about this whole journey and process is how it affects us mentally, because we're all going to be coming from a different place, right? Like I can give you the exact strategy of do this, do that, but we're going to feel different as we're going through it, right? We're going to have things come up, whether it's something in our daily life that create a lot of stress, or it's just like, old thoughts and old feelings from childhood. All those things can get in the way. So what I want to tell you is stay consistent. You're going to have days where you don't hit everything on point. You don't get your protein in. You overeat on calories. You didn't do your workout. That's fine because that's just human nature. But the truth is, if you stay consistent and you have more days where you're in that deficit and more days where you're doing everything on point than you're not, then you're actually going to hit your goal. And it doesn't matter how much time it takes. And I also want to share that it does take time, right? It takes time. Give yourself a month to notice any changes. Give yourself 3 months to notice a pretty big change. Give yourself 6 months to notice a change that other people experience too. It does take time. Your body likes to be where it is, and your body likes to have a set point. So for you to change your body's set point, it takes enough time, enough repetition of those calories coming in to tell your body this is what our environment is. And this is where we are now. This is what life is. And we do that through the movement and through the nutrition. Those two things signal to the body with enough time that this is our new state of being, and get used to it. That's why we have to have the mentality of knowing the strategies and knowing what to do and having the discipline to follow through even on days where it feels like we don't. So if you'd like my help with implementing these strategies and applying them to your life so that you can lose weight, so that you can get fit and get those results and go from A to B, then just book a call with the link below and we'll get on the phone and I'll give you a roadmap and give you a big idea of what to focus on next that's actually going to get you those results. So I look forward to talking to you, and much love.